Honestly, it's every day I go hard. I go 110% every day. I'm intense. I lay it all on the line. I'm desperate in training every single day because, in this country with the sprinters, and I put 100% into everything that I do at training. So that's why I'm at the top of my game, because I make sure I dot on my I's and cross on my T's.
Excellence is about standing, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true.
First memory running, we used to have family picnics when I was younger, the Nigerian community, all over Toronto, and you kind of get a prize if you win races. So I was just winning a lot of the races when I was younger. That's how I got introduced to running. It was just the thrill of running, winning, and that reward that you got back.
You said running, winning right away. Was it like inside you from the get-go, or did you sometimes run just for fun, not for the sake of winning?
I think running is always, as males, it's always like a competitive thing. So yeah, a lot of the running I've done has mainly been for either like I'm racing my friends or just track and field day at elementary school. Those are some of the earliest days I had running and sometimes winning.
Nice. And so what's the first memory on the track then?
So I think my first memory on the track was we had track and field day at my elementary school in grade 3, and I didn't do well at all. Like they usually have people who qualify who make it to the regional meet that's in Oshawa, Ontario. Yeah, I didn't make it in any event. So it wasn't until they made it by people whose birthday was born in the summer were in the lower grade. So that's when I started winning. When I started going running with younger kids, that's how I started winning.
Okay, and is it what gave you kind of the twist to make it more than just running at school? And did you start being more competitive and going into like actual races and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So because I told you like during my elementary school I wasn't really the fastest. I think in grade 8 I was finished 8th place in the 100 meters. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't really like I went into high school thinking, oh, I'm going to run track and field. I was primarily a basketball player. Basketball was like my main thing. Track and field came about by a gym teacher of mine seeing me run during like the conditioning test, the beep test, and asking me to come join a relay team on for the school.
Did you have anyone in your family that was kind of good at sport or good at running? Or
well, I mean, my mom, it's like a great tall tale that she was this good runner. I haven't seen any, there's no data on that. I don't know.
No video, no camera.
There's nothing on that, but that's what she said. And I did see her at the picnic. She did run and she was fast. But other than that, my sister, she did high jump for probably briefly in high school. But other than that, I'm the first real track person, yeah.
And did you have like any role models, whether they be Canadian or outside of Canada?
Field,
yeah,
right?
Track and field, just sports. And
I think when I first started, my role models was definitely like Tyson Gay, Usain Bolt. It wasn't primarily anyone in Canada I was watching because like for sprints, they weren't really killing it in 2008. So Usain Bolt, Tyson Gay, those guys really brought me into the sport and made me really love it.
Yeah, and so when did you transition between being a kid at school and running for fun to I'm going to be a runner and I'll study or whatever?
Yeah.
Apart from that, was there a moment that you remember, some sort of a tipping point where your objective became more like on the side of sports than on the side of the rest, basically?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, primarily a basketball player. So that was my thing all the way up until grade 12, even though I started track in grade 10. And the year was successful. My first year running track, I made OFSA championships, which was like the big provincial championships. It was obviously hard to make. So once I had finished, and I didn't do well there, I came 7th in the 100-meter final. So once I did well at OFSA, I was like, okay, well, I'm looking for a club track. So that's where things started being serious. But also throughout high school, like when I was in grade 11, I broke my ankle playing basketball, which took a whole year from track away from me that I was supposed to use to get recruited. So once I got injured, it was more so my mom going to the school saying, I don't want him playing basketball anymore. He has to, if he's running or competing for the school, it has to be track and field only.
Was that a big setback? You said that injury coming quite early in your career, or let's say in your youth. Did it help you in a sense, looking back at getting better and just the mental part of the? Yeah,
I think if I wouldn't have got injured with my ankle, it probably would have made me take track more serious because I would have seen a lot of more opportunities. Mm-hmm. The year I broke my ankle in grade 11, that was the year of the World Youth Championships. And I'm pretty sure that was Ukraine. Ukraine it was the championships in. So I missed on an opportunity of some early exposure in my career to be on the international stage, to get my name out there. So going into grade 12, it was definitely a setback. But it set the framework for me to always kind of be hungry to experience like top tier elite competition because I didn't start out experiencing it.
And so you said before we started recording that you try to do more stuff like getting out there.
For sure, yeah.
In terms of personality, not just like public
Yeah.
speaking and all that. Were you from the very beginning the type of personality that said, "Oh, I'm the best and I'm gonna be the best," or were you the kind of guy that was like, "Oh, there are people that are better than me"? How did you evolve? And as of today, you know, have you seen how you changed as a person and as an athlete over time?
For sure. I think I haven't changed from the jump. I always thought I was the best from day one, and I was on the track. And it was really bad because when I started running track initially, I just didn't lose until that OFSA final. And that added to a lot of arrogance, ignorance, but confidence too as well. And even now, the way I look at it myself, I still think I'm the best. I still running because I do think I'm the best. I do think that it's layered in how things come to fruition in track, and obviously like progress takes a while. It's been with me, it's been a while, but I always believe I can be the best if I'm not the best right now.
And you mentioned progress for you. So today, is it more natural capabilities or is it more like just hard work and consistency and discipline? And because probably earlier, any athlete that starts, they are good from the get-go because they have a natural ability. But at some point, it's not enough, right? It's work and it's discipline and all that takes over pretty much. That brings you to the next level.
For sure.
Do you remember a specific point in time that this happened or that you realized that it was not just about your natural competencies?
For sure. When I was at Ohio State, that's when I realized everyone here is talented.
Yeah.
So from then, I wasn't even picked for conference teams and indoor. I wouldn't make the indoor conference team. I wasn't looked at as one of the best people on the team at all. So I knew that the only way for me to get on the travel list, to go to big meets, get on planes, was for me to actually start working hard. So that's the first time I really started digging in, training hard, pushing myself to the limit. That was probably the first time.
So what is working hard for you?
Oh man, working hard for me. Once upon a time, working hard was showing up to every practice.
Showing up was working hard.
Showing up to every practice was the task. I didn't show up to every single practice, so that was hard. Working hard was going to the weight room. I didn't go to the weight room probably since I've been around the time I've been a pro.
That changed, obviously.
Yeah, I'm lifting now a little bit more, but those are the main things. Dieting is too. You know, knowing how to say no to things and how to prioritize certain things, and also water intake. All that stuff is like really, really hard for me. So I consider all that working hard for sure.
Yeah, nice. So what does it look like today? I mean, since you joined Ohio State, it was probably a big focus for you. Or I mean, you were solely focused on the sports, on the track and field.
For sure.
What does a schedule look like today? What is you came back from the Olympics.
For sure.
What's the day-to-day for like a pro?
Yeah, right now my day-to-day, I'll give the day-to-day right after the Olympics, a little bit different now. It was definitely a lot of sleep, a lot of eating, a lot of relaxing, a little bit of partying, and doing a lot of the things that I couldn't do because the Olympic year was just so intense, and the preparation and the discipline you have to have. So now my day-to-day is I get up now, I'm on leave from work until the end of this month. So right now I'm not currently working, but when I usually am in the groove of practice, I wake up, I train from 10 to maybe around 1 or 2, then I work from 3 to 11, and then I kind of recycle that and do it again. But now that I'm on leave from work, I'll wake up, I'll rehab, I'll go to facility, I'll rehab, I'll come back home, handle all like emails, inquiries, potential appearances that I may have. Also just connecting with my family too as well in the afternoon is very important. Evening time I like to spend like journaling, reflecting, or just playing video games and unwinding, because right now I'm kind of preparing myself to go back into another season. So every single amount of relaxation or free time I have, I'm just trying to use it to enjoy it for the time I have.
When you said working, what is work?
Yeah, basically I work in HR, so I'm outsourcing. I'm like the middleman, so I connect people with their resources, their benefits from work.
Nice. Is that a full-time? Do you work full-time when you're...
Yeah, pretty much full-time during the season, pretty much. But I try to go on leave during busy parts of the year.
Do you think that's a question that comes earlier, because not necessarily about like your career, but do you think that's an issue that some high-level athlete like you have to go and work full-time jobs to be able to keep competing at the highest level?
I think it's twofold. Like for me, I look at it like I want to make sure I'm always more than an athlete. I want to make sure that when I walk away from track, I still have job experience. I'm still well versed in the career space, because I mean that's the biggest that's probably the biggest problem as an athlete, whether you make money or not, is what you do after and how you kind of identify yourself. But other than that, I think it's definitely tough. Track's not a big revenue playing sport. You obviously would like to have more support in that aspects, and hopefully with the promotion that's going on with track now, people like Noah Lyles bringing more eyes to the sport, it's creating more opportunities for us to be able to not be in the situations where we have to work full time.
Is that something that you're chasing, possibly being able not to work or not to work full time, or like you said before, you want to be more than the athletes, and you want to know, you know that your career will end at some point, and when it happens, you want to be like already, on top of your game and with your new career ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I think right now I'm trying to be the best, so the best don't work. So if I'm the best and I'm running all these times, the big contracts and all the money will come. So I focus on keeping myself balanced in both, but hopefully when I do become as good as I believe I can, those things offset.
So you had your personal best, I think, this year, earlier this year in April or something like that.
Yeah, I did.
In London. Do you think you've reached your peak? I think not. But yeah, what have you seen changing, let's say, in the past 12 months? The impact of hard work and all that, and how do you see the next 2 years, for example?
Well, first, I definitely have not hit my peak yet. There's so much more left for me to do in the sport, because I really came in late to the international space and the high performance space.
Yeah, you're a late bloomer, right? You're 28, 27?
I'm 28, yeah, and I'm definitely hitting my best times. It's been kind of soaring for the past couple of years. COVID kind of delayed things a bit with that, so I'm a little bit aged more than I actually am on the track. But honestly, I really think that. What's the second part of your question? Sorry, I didn't hear.
What do you see changing, or how do you improve in the past 12 months, reaching your top personal best, and how do you want to keep doing that in the next year?
Honestly, it's every day I go hard. I go 110% every day. I'm intense. I lay it all on the line. I'm desperate in training every single day, because in this country with the sprinters, and you want to make sure that you're sticking out, and the only way you can stick out is putting your all into it. You can't put 80, 90, 95 sometimes is enough. So I put 100% into everything that I do at training. So that's why I'm at the top of my game, because I make sure I dot on my I's and cross on my T's.
Yeah, and so Canada is one of the best, if not the best, in terms of the pool of sprinters, and it's been seen with the title at the Olympics and in the World Championships. Is that for you? You're basically a big fish, but in a huge pond, in a sense. You have teammates that are excellent as well. Is that something that pulls you and push you? I would say, push you to get better and make it to that team and make it to the number one spot in Canada.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a lot of what started me for the past couple of years wanting to ascend to the level I've ascended to, because I know that to be good in this country is not good enough. You have to be at the best, because you might have the times, but everyone knows them. So you have to be doing certain things to be able to put yourself in the forefront, which means probably running a little bit faster than most people would usually have to in order to get some type of success or notoriety or all that stuff like that. But they definitely set the bar, and I really thank them for that, because if Andre hasn't been out here getting medals, if the relay team hasn't been doing what they've been doing, it wouldn't have been pushing me to run world-class times, which, a couple of years ago, I knew I was always capable of doing it, but to actually see it on paper really means a lot more. So I give them all credit to that. I don't think it's really I'm in a small pond. I definitely think that I have my niche. I definitely think that with better performances and winning like meets like nationals and doing better on the world stage will give me the same opportunities that they did as well.
Mm-hmm. And so what is coming in the next 2 years? What is coming, or what are you, how do you call that in English? Manifesting. What are you manifesting to happen by the next
couple years?
Yeah.
So definitely this year, I'm trying to make sure I get under 10 seconds for sure consistently. But in the next 2 years, I want to break the Canadian record for sure in the 100 meters. 984 it is. I want to run 983 at least. So I definitely think it's well within my capabilities with me, my training, where I'm at, the resources I have. I don't have too much. I'm using very little with training in Canada all year round. So certain stuff like weather, benefits, equipment, certain stuff I'm lacking that I know with ascending my performance the next couple of years will improve where I'm able, my quality of training. And I'll definitely be able to hopefully obtain that Canadian record in the 100 meters.
Yeah. It's great to hear that. Now, I hope in 2 years we'll meet again in our bigger office and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, bigger office.
What's your? Can you identify or pinpoint the one or two things that you think will get you to that record? Is this mental? Is this overall, shape? Is this technicalities on the sprint? Is it diet, sleep, and all that? What do you think is the key?
I'd probably say it's one of two things. One, mindset. I think that for me, I've seen that my mindset has been able to carry me to where I'm at from all levels of track, and to even get to the point of being in the Olympics from where I'm at, just training here. Just my mindset of I don't make any excuses for myself. I don't put any hurdles in my way. I make sure I get it done by any means necessary. But on the physical side, I definitely think my top end speed is world class. I think I haven't really put together my races as consistently as I want to. I've had flashes where I've had great races, but then there's also been a lot of races where I've done a lot of things wrong. So once I start sort of refining that and I'm able to really maximize my top end speed, and then I'm confident that I could be world class, if not break the Canadian record.
Nice. And so up until now, I think you went to the World Championships last year. You went to the Olympics this year. It would seem for Mr. and Mrs. Nobody or Mr. and Mrs. John Doe as, the pinnacle of a career.
For sure.
What has been so far for you really the highest point of your career? And what has been the lowest point? And that's mostly what I'm interested in is the lowest point, but start with the highest.
I think the highest point, definitely probably was this year. I think World Relays was a high point for me. I ran my first 9.9 Windy going into it. And it was like my first time being with the relay team and also feeling like I was a person who could actually run and contribute on the track. And also I felt that respect from my peers where it's like, okay, this guy's arriving. So for me, coming from obviously wanting to be peers with these guys, wanting to be world class, wanting to make the national team, being in a space where, okay, the Olympics are in a few months. I'm at this meet right now. I'm not getting the opportunity to run, but I can sense that a turn is shifting. Like that's probably the most exciting thing. Is before everything happens, is kind of the feeling before. The lowest point I would probably say was 2021. I was at LSU for the training camp that Athletics Canada has every year for relay, and I tore my hamstring on the anchor leg. And going into that, it was 3 consecutive years of me not PRing. I ran 10:22 when I graduated Ohio State, and I ran, I think, 10:36 in 2 years in a row. So I was on, that was the kind of the year where I could tell my funding was on the line. And I made sure I kind of talked to the head coach, and he pretty much told me, he's like, if you don't get your stuff together, this is going to be the end of it. And I was really faced with the reality where it's like, okay, I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Like at this point, there were new athletes coming up and running faster than around my PRs, which I thought were separating myself at the time. So once I really just sat in that moment and realized, okay, you're at the bottom. Like no one's even expecting you to win races. I think I finished 6th or something at nationals in the way back. So it was definitely tough because I knew how good I was. I just couldn't show it with recovering from injury and having little time to really train and get myself up to the same speed as everyone else.
And so what changed then to make you get to your personal best? Was it mostly here or was it mostly in the legs and all that?
Honestly, it was really, I went to my cousin's house one time in the summer. It was after like a long season, and I talked to him and I just said, honestly, like I'm really just tired of being in the scene. Like I'm tired of being one of the fast guys. I'm tired of being like, the 6th or 5th guy trying to make a relay team. Like I actually want to be a staple. I want people to actually know me. So I said, next year, I'm going to make sure that no matter what happens, I'm going to make sure people know who I am and people know that I run track and field and this is what I actually do and I take it seriously. So it was really just that feeling of just I'm not feeling like respected. I don't feel like my talent is being maximized in the sport since I've been in track and field. I don't think I maximize it because of certain stuff like missed practices and poor dieting and poor choices. So I really just wanted to just stop playing around with my talent and finally just experience everything I can with it.
And so did that impact the way you live? Like you said, the sleep, diet and all that? Did you actually make actual changes that you could literally see and look back on and be like, oh, that really changed it?
Yeah, for sure. Sleep was a big thing. I stopped going out like nights of practice. There would be nights before practice I'd be going out, I'd be up till like let out maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, come home, sleep, get ready for practice, and train pretty well. That's why I thought I was good. But other than that changed. I stopped going out with stuff the day before meets. Nutrition-wise, I made sure I was eating 3 times a day at least and making sure I'm drinking at least 3.5 liters of water a day to be exact. So those are the biggest glaring changes. I still have more changes to make with diet, better quality of food, obviously, because sometimes takeout is easy, but it's not the best thing to do. But sometimes as professional athletes, we don't have time. So I do eat Chinese food. I do eat pizza, wings, all this stuff, because I mean, it's better than nothing at the end of the day. Sometimes you're coming home from training or different type of activity.
Sweet. And it seems like it's been a long stretch that you had your post-injury 2 years-ish where you didn't get the result. What keeps you going? When you wake up in the morning, when you do that meet and you're like 6 at 10:36 or whatever the time, what keeps you going? What helps you? What is happening inside that you still wake up, still go to practice, and still try to get better?
Honestly, I'm just a really stubborn person, and I listen to people, but I don't like listening to people, which means I want to be the one to decide, have the final say whether or not I can do track and field at a high level. No one's going to decide that for me. And every day I wake up, I do believe there's an opportunity to go out there and be better and become the best. So I make sure that I look at every day with a sense of optimism, like we can go out here and make greatness happen every single day.
Nice. Do you think in your not professional career, your non-sport career, what you do in HR and all that, are you the same person?
No, I'm not. I think I'm more laid back. I'm more social. I'm a lot more probably inviting. When I'm on the track, I'm a like fierce competitor. I think anyone who's seen me on the track knows like I don't look like I smile. I don't like really make jokes. I'm very intense at practice with my teammates and my coach. And like there's good and bad to it sometimes. Like, at the end of the day, it's good because I raised the intensity of the environment. But sometimes like my coach has to tell me like you have to relax, like because at the end of the day, when you get into training and you want something bad and you envision yourself doing all these great things, when you're in training, you really want to make sure everything is on point, whether it's cones being set up, whether we're making sure we're doing the reps, making sure I'm doing every single thing. I'm being very meticulous. So you can get very wrapped up in it intense. So even like when I get out of practice, I really have to like take a second to like detach from that before I go into work and things like that.
It's funny because I asked the question because like you said, I'm in business and I always see lots of parallels between elite sport and entrepreneurship.
For sure.
Let's say,
really.
Like when you're on the news for a good result, it's 1/100th or 1,000th of what you do. The rest is just grinding it out, working, having bad stuff happening. Business is the same. You have one article once in a while, and then the rest is just putting out fires and stuff like that.
Pretty much.
But now I'm just thinking on the more employee side, like I said. So you're an elite athlete and you're also an employee. So I was wondering, and hence my question was, are you the same person or are you two different persons? And it seems like you're completely two different persons.
Yeah,
because I would like to know, what makes an elite athlete. Someone that you don't have a boss, you don't have someone saying, hey, this is what you have to do. It's just from inside, you want this to happen. I think that's what happened with entrepreneurs. And that's what happens with top performing employees. They just have that drive and they want to do things well or do things great without having someone to tell them what to do.
Yeah, for sure. And also too, my dad's an entrepreneur too. So when I grew up, I worked with him in moving and delivery, which is furniture, big stuff. I mean, you're moving your office, so you know how much of a hassle moving is. So he was an entrepreneur growing up. He still is. He still runs his own business, and I've been working for him since I've been 10, like on and off. So I got to see the drive and why it's important to be thorough, why it's important to put in more work than everyone else. And even though you might be good or you might be the boss, it doesn't mean that you don't work less. If anything, you have to work harder because you're the one setting the example. So I've learned that from him, and that definitely helped me with track in my space now with my training group, where I'm looked at as a leader, and I don't look at that as, okay, this is an opportunity to boss people around. I look at it as I'm going to set the highest example I can so these guys can get to where I'm at.
And you think your dad and your parents in general just got that entrepreneurship, and I keep the word as a generic word because you're an entrepreneur of sports in a sense.
Yeah, I guess
you start from nothing and you try to prove yourself and make something great happen. Was that in you since you were a kid, or you think that was kind of taught over time?
No, I think it's been in me as a kid for sure. I definitely wanted to stand out, and different stuff like causing trouble in class gave me some of those stuff sometimes, like being the one who's the prankster in the class, who's making all like different hassles, was definitely ways that I try to find a way to stand out. But, with sport, it gave me the opportunity to really build myself up and build my brand, build my confidence, really just understand that you can stand out in other ways and don't have to cause trouble and do other things. So it gave me my own lane. And yeah, that's basically what I have to say it offered me.
Nice. As something that will come a bit later. If you had to, I like looking back in general. Look back on your career and all the decisions that you've made. I asked a question about highest point and lowest point before. What would you say was the best decision you ever took?
Man, the best decision ever made? Man, this is crazy. So when I was in junior college, the second year I was at junior college, I ended up getting kicked off the team. I used to have like this weird issue in track where I'd run the 100 at meets, but the 200 would be after the 100. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the 200. Just maybe I'd be tired, maybe I'd be unwilling, maybe the sense of just not willing to venture out, but that was my thing. So my coach kind of got sick of it one day, and he's like, okay, like if you don't run the 200, you're off the team. So I was like, me being hard-headed, I'm like, I don't care, I'm not running 200. So he's like, turn your uniform. So I turned in my uniform the next day. They kicked me off the team, all different stuff like that. And they had a meet the next week. And I was in junior college, so I needed schools to transfer. I needed times to transfer to schools because you only do 2 years at junior college. So they had a meet the next weekend. And this was in Pittsburgh, Kansas, which was roughly around an hour and a half to 2 hours away. So I basically trained for a week on my own and did some of the similar stuff I was doing. Because I was in great form, too. I was in PR shape. I was running like 10:52 at the time. And then I talked to some of the people on the team. I got their grandparents to arrange a ride for me to go to the meet. And then I go to the meet now, and everyone's like wondering, okay, you're not in your school uniform. Because I wear my Canada uniform because I didn't have anything else to wear. Like, they took my school uniform. So I went out there in the Canadian uniform, and yeah, I won the 100. I set a new personal best of 10:45. And I got my scholarship to Ohio State. So that was probably one of the best decisions I made, because I don't think if I would have done that, I would have been able to get the same offer. Or I think it was just a morale boost knowing that I didn't really need them to get to where I was going. So that was the best decision I made for sure.
It's funny how you improved your best time by 0.05 or something within a week, let's say.
For sure.
And it's not necessarily the work that you've put in, within that week. It's probably like pride and all the non-physical stuff that
all
took
that
over
stuff,
and that made you like be your best. It's super interesting when we always think that it's all about like, how good you are physically. But no, there's a lot of stuff that, if you have like some sort of a revenge approach, or, if your pride was hit, you have something that pushes you even more than,
you just got to have the will to win. You got to have the will to win always. You got to have the will to win. And I think running is one of those things. When I'm behind people, I just will myself to be at the front. I just want it more. So that's the thing what it comes down to.
Nice. I saw, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that you signed with TMG, I think, someone to represent you.
Sure.
Is that linked to your recent personal best, or is that because you want to build your brand and get sponsorship and stuff like that? What's the reasoning behind all that?
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit of everything. I think that working with TMG is something that I've wanted to, like companies like sports marketing agencies, talent agencies, is something I've wanted to do. But I always wanted to make sure I handle my business on the track first, or I've created a system where I'm able to, or a machine I'm able to, where it's able to process. And I think within the first couple of years, building all those good habits gave me like the confidence to know, okay, I can finally market myself, because I've been putting a lot of hard work, putting in a lot of stuff and running a lot of fast times. And I definitely think that with the way track is and the way people are marketed, you don't necessarily have to be the fastest person to be marketed, because, with track, we all have great bodies. We all have personalities we can show. There's other ways. But I wanted to make sure for me it was driven by great results too behind it. So when people went and saw me, it was not just, oh, okay, this person is athletic, or he has a good body, or he's funny. This person's a great performer. So that was one of the main things I did. And when I was working with TMG, they're just going to help me just kind of broaden my horizons, help me be more marketable. I'm just trying to be more active and get my name out there as I get ready for LA 2028.
Nice. Have you seen, or is it really recent, or have you seen already a few results from working with them?
I literally just started like a couple weeks ago,
okay.
So we have a couple stuff in like the works that I can't talk too much about right now, but definitely it's just brand new. Like this is within like the first, I think it just got announced on Monday, and today is Tuesday, so.
Yeah, so I read it yesterday. I wasn't sure if it was signed. No.
I didn't keep it under wraps. As soon as it was out, I told him he green lighted it, and we put it out there.
Nice, very cool. If you met the 10-year-old you, did you start running? Yeah, you probably has. Or you running, not necessarily on track yet.
Running,
but if you met yourself at 10 years old, what advice would you give yourself?
Honestly, if I gave myself advice, I wouldn't even think I would listen at 10. To be honest, I don't even think.
And today, would you listen?
I mean, today I listen desperately. I think when you get older, you're so desperate for some great advice. But I think the main thing I would have told myself at 10 is just, you're a star. Like you are, because inside you feel all these things and you want to stand out, and that's kind of like that feeling of wanting to be something.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just tell my younger self, like, that's valid to feel like that. You can go out there and achieve it. You can go and be anything you want to be. And I think if I would have told myself that younger, I think I would have went for track harder or went for other things harder. I just lacking a little bit of confidence when I was younger too.
Nice. I resonate with what you say right now, because
sure.
When I see what I do today, I'm like, I should have known that I can do whatever I'm doing. And it's probably the same for you. It would be like, oh, if you put your soul and heart in this, you can get much further, much quicker, probably.
For sure, yeah. But it's all it's all a process. I think things happen when they're supposed to happen, when you're mature enough and able enough to take them on.
Yeah. So you said you're trying to be more out there with the podcast is one thing. What are the other stuff that you try to do? Probably with TMG as well.
Yeah.
And where should people follow you? Are you like an Instagram guy or a TikTok guy?
Yeah, I'm not a TikTok guy. I'd actually, if you go on my TikTok, you're gonna see absolutely nothing.
You're a boomer.
I
like
know.
Me.
Wow. I think Marie was the first person on Team Canada to call me that. I didn't even know what that even meant until she called me. That's how old I am. But yeah, I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram. I'm a big Instagram guy. I'm trying to share more content in terms of like just me going to certain events and like galas and certain stuff I'm doing now. Just being able to show people how I just go out and how I interact with kids at certain events too as well. So yeah, everyone can find me on Twitter. I say a bunch of sports stuff. Usually on my Twitter, it's usually only sports, and Instagram, I mainly repost sports. A lot of stuff I find funny, and I just update people on kind of what's going on with me. And like, for example, I signed to TMG, or maybe certain training blocks I might put up in certain stuff.
Nice. If there was one person, one athlete that you would like to hear, Canada, not Canada, male, female, whoever, that you think would have an interesting story like you to say on the podcast, who would that be?
I think we need to get Fred Curley on here. I think Fred is one of those unique guys with a background upbringing where he's very like discreet. I don't know if you can find too much about him online, as famous as he is, but that's definitely one of the guys I think you guys should have on here, or who I want to see on here if I got to talk to him to get on here.
Nice.
For sure.
And the last question that I always ask, we're not here in Montreal today in my usual office/recording studio. I've built, and I sent you a picture, some sort of a wall of fame, wall of sport, whatever the name.
Yeah, I saw it.
I'm asking the question even though I know you have something.
Yeah, I know.
Anything from your career that you'd like to share?
Yes.
I'll put out a Sharpie for a quick signature on it as well.
Oh, yeah, I got to sign that too.
So, yeah, what do you have?
I have my Speed Academy uniform here for you. Speed Academy was my first club I joined in track and field. I'm still with them today.
Is it here in Toronto?
Yeah, it's based in Pickering, Ontario. The head coach, Tony Sharp. Andre DeGrasse came out that club too as well.
Nice.
Miriam Abdul-Rashid. We've had a lot of D1 athletes, Olympics. Christopher Morales as well. He came out of Speed Academy too as well. So now you are joining the Speed Academy family.
Wow.
Sweet. Me,
can you put a small signature on it?
Yes, I will. I will put this on. Oh, yes.
Thank you so much.
Sign it off. Well, I can't do it on that.
Yeah.
I think I need to get a stamp or something.
Yeah, probably.
Just stamp it. Yeah.
Like less legit. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, for sure.
Thank you for taking the riding here and driving here. Super appreciated. It's always much funnier to meet in person. So we took a bit of a few weeks to organize that, but it's been amazing.
Yes.
I wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
I wish you the 9.83.
We need 83. We need to get Donovan Bailey and Bruni Surin out of here.
In the next couple of months.
Love those guys though.
Months
sure.
and years. And if you do, then we do have a deal to do another episode.
Yes, I'll come back on here when I handle my business.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dwayne. I hope I'll see you around.
All right, thank you.